Hey everyone, my name is Katie Robertson. I'm the founder and director for the Anchor Gathering, and this is the Anchor Moment, and I want to tell you a little bit about what that is. It's a time we get to hear from a guest a little bit about their life, their faith journey, and an anchor moment. And that is a time that someone has had their faith grounded and they've seen Jesus for real in their life. So we are so excited at this time you get to hear firsthand a personal story from one of our guests, and we hope that you'll be encouraged.
Hi guys, my name is Bryn Elliott and I am from Canada, but I recently moved to Kona, Hawaii, and I've been living here for the past 2 years now with YWAM, Youth with a Mission. I've been here for 2 years working on my biblical studies degree and really just getting trained and equipped not only for ministry or what the Lord's calling me to, but even just to have a good foundation of a life walking with Jesus. My life before Jesus was filled and marked with trauma and pain. During my childhood, me and my sister were abused for 10 years. And that was sexually, emotionally, and physically by someone that was really trusted and close to our family. Coming out of that, I was really struggling with PTSD, and I was only 12 years old, and I didn't really know how to cope with it or even really how to talk about what had gone on. And so I fell into drugs at 12 years old. I ended up going to rehab when I was 15 because over the years it kind of just kept getting worse. You know, rehab was a time that I got to process more of my childhood trauma and what had happened to me, but it didn't give me any hope for the future or any hope for healing or restoration in my life, really. Coming out of rehab, I actually experienced more sexual trauma, and after that, I fell right back into drugs. At 18, my big sister, who was my best friend at the time, was murdered. I just spiraled, and the next year and a half of my life was probably the darkest time I've ever been in. I was depressed, I was suicidal, I would wake up every day screaming and crying, just realizing that I was still alive and that I had to live through another day. I would pray sometimes, but my prayers were really just to ask God to take me too or to kill me too. I couldn't really imagine life without my sister. I thought I was going crazy. I would pull out my hair, I would punch walls, I couldn't control my emotions at all. I had no hope. I felt like I had tried everything that the world had to offer me. I have done so many different types of therapy for so many years. I went to rehab, I've done drug counseling, and nothing worked and nothing really stuck. During that time, my dad actually started walking in his faith. It was the first time I'd ever actually seen someone allow their life to be changed by the power of the gospel. I could tell that even how he was handling the trauma of losing his oldest daughter, I could see how he was handling it so much differently than me, with just the grace of the Lord on it. And he remained the rock of our family in the worst time that we've all been through. One day, my dad invited me to a 2-hour session. The woman that was doing my session, she told me so many things that had happened in my life that I never told anyone or even was able to verbalize. And I was so confused, and I was like, how did you know that? How did you know that? And she was like, the Lord told me and he wants to heal you today. After that session, I realized that God is close and personal, and he wants relationship with us, and he created us for a relationship with him. And it wasn't like an automatic switch or anything like that, but it gave me a hunger to know who this God is, who this close, personal, intimate God is. So I gave the Lord a chance. I really committed to just getting to know Jesus and seeing what would happen. I started working with a Christian life coach, and within 3 months, my life was totally changed. And really, Jesus just showed me a life that I would have never even dreamed was possible. So the anchor moment that I wanted to share with you guys today was when the Lord freed and healed me from drug addiction. So before making the choice to follow Jesus, drugs really felt like my only source of happiness and my only source of peace. And I understand now that it was a false sense of happiness and a false sense of peace, but I couldn't tell the difference at the time. You know, after 9 years of addiction and going as far as heroin, I didn't see any hope for myself to change or to get out of that lifestyle, especially after 6 years of intervention and help, of counseling, rehab, all of that. I was really just hopeless. And I put my identity into my addiction as well. I would say I am an addict and I'm always going to be an addict, and I wasn't putting my identity in who I am in Jesus and who I am as a daughter of the King, of someone who is created intentionally by God, for God. So during the 3 months that I told you guys about, that I had started working with a Christian life coach and really starting to get to know Jesus, it was not a perfect time. And every once in a while I would fall back and I would relapse and I would mess up again. And I felt like I was like white knuckling it through each day of like, okay, I'm not going to use today. I don't want to sin today. And just like in my own strength, trying so hard to please God and really it was me trying to be good enough for a relationship with Jesus. One day it got to a point where I just felt like I couldn't do it anymore. I cried out to the Lord and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to be so real with God right now. Like, I cannot do this. I'm not strong enough to do this. It was really a cry of desperation. And what I didn't understand at the time is that our desperation is actually an opportunity to just come to the Lord with open hands and allow him to have his way and really to trust that God is in these things with us. He's in these battles with us and that he will never leave us alone through those times. The next day, actually, I ended up having an encounter with God. And I was in class and we were learning about the Holy Spirit. I asked him to have his way in this time and I gave him permission and trusted that he knows what I needed. What I know now is that encounter with God and encounter with the person of Jesus is what actually transforms us. If you don't have the connection and the relationship with Jesus, then you're still relying on your own strength or even your own knowledge to transform your life. Temptation is still real, but after that moment, after that encounter with the power of God, I have never gone back to drugs. I just wanted to share this with you guys to encourage you that God is still in the business of breaking chains and that there is so much freedom available to us if we ask. Since that day forward, I have walked and claimed my freedom from drug addiction. I no longer say that I'm an addict or identify myself with addiction. And it's been over 2 years now since that happened. So I hope that this was encouraging for you guys. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. Have a great rest of your day.